Meteorologist Chris Ramirez, and here's a look at our tropics update. The good news is that we're not expecting any activity out in the Atlantic basin, at least for the next 7 days. It's very quiet out there, not really seeing much of any activity across from the Gulf all the way into the Atlantic. The only thing we're looking at is Hurricane Genevieve. Well, it was a hurricane. It's actually a tropical storm now. We're tracking some Saharan dust across the Atlantic that is currently moving off the African coast, and that's going to be moving into the mid-Atlantic by the next few days. However, as we take a look at this plume that's heading our way, we could see the chance for this to make its way into the Gulf and into southeast Texas as we go into the end of next week. So I'm going to go ahead and operate our graphics here to show you, take a little bit of a look around at what's to take place. We have a little plume making its way in by Tuesday, so we could see some hazy skies across Houston. But as long as that Saharan dust is there, that really does a great job at preventing those tropical systems from becoming strong and actually prevents them from forming, as a layer of dry air that is in place really does a great job at preventing that tropical systems and those hurricane systems, especially as we get closer to the peak of hurricane season. So as we take a look at the Pacific Ocean, we had Tropical Storm Genevieve. It was a major Category 4 hurricane that was over portions of the Pacific Ocean. Right now it has 70-mile-an-hour winds. It's dwindling down and weakening significantly. It's over open water, and it's not going to pose a threat to land. It's moving west-northwest at 16 miles an hour. So as we take a look at that forecasted track, it's just going to continue its track into cooler waters, eventually weakening into a tropical depression by Tuesday afternoon. Of course, you have the Hawaiian Islands right here. It's not really going to pose a threat to Hawaii, and so we are expecting it to be mostly quiet. So when it comes to these hurricanes and tropical systems out in the Pacific Ocean, it really does give a lot of wind shear across the Gulf. And really happens is that wind shear, of course, is the upper level wind speeds at the upper levels of the atmosphere. That really does a great job at tearing systems apart when it comes to having high amounts of wind shear. So when you have those systems and across the Pacific, usually it gives that wind shear. But as we head into August, we really have to pay attention to any disturbance that makes its way into just to the east of the Leeward Islands. So anything that forms out in this region, I know that's very far away from Houston and from southeast Texas. It depends on what happens, because if they go south of the island of Hispaniola in Cuba, it could move into the Gulf, and that could pose a threat to us. But if it makes more of a northerly track, that will stay over open water off the east coast U.S. And so nothing's going to form there for the next 7 days. But if we do see some activity, especially out in that region, that's what we really have to pay attention to as we progress through the month of August. So as we take a look at the historical tracks for August and September, we've had a total of 16 landfalling hurricanes in recorded history within 100 miles of Houston. This is for September. And when you add them up into August and September, we had a total of 29 landfalling hurricanes. This is within 100 miles of Houston. And so history shows that the peak of hurricane season happening in the months of September, but we are not out of the woods yet when it comes to hurricane season. We're still going to have our eyes peeled in the tropics, especially as we go into the next few weeks. It's the reason why we have these daily 9 p.m. tropical live streams, so we can give you a current state of the tropics, and we can keep you ahead of any storm or any tropical disturbance that moves into the Atlantic as well as into the Caribbean, at least for the next several days. Also, we focus on the Pacific Ocean too, even though those storms really don't pose a threat to us around this time of year. So as we take a look at the Atlantic hurricane season peak, we are at July 31st. It is the last day of July. We are expecting the peak of hurricane season to be on September 10th, so we might see an uptick in activity here in the next couple of months. But also keep in mind that we are currently in an El Nino pattern, which El Nino really does provide a lot of wind shear across the Gulf. Remember, wind shear, hurricanes and tropical systems do not like wind shear, and so that's why we're expecting a less active hurricane season for the next couple of months. And so we hope it stays that way, and we're not expecting any landfalling storms here in the next couple of months. But of course, we've had in history, we've had quite a bit of significant storms happening in the month of September. We had Hurricane Ike, Rita. We had Katrina that happened in Louisiana. So it's really important to pay attention to the tropics, especially as we get into September. So far this year, we've had Arthur, Bertha, both were tropical storms, and these actually passed right over Houston. They were very weak tropical systems, and what that means is that they were severely tilted systems. And when we say tilted, it means that we saw the center of circulation of the low pressure system that's associated with a tropical system. And then you had all the rain and storms well far away from the center of that low. And that's all thanks to that wind shear that we've been tracking all summer. So the thing to really keep an eye on is the heat. Temps remaining above normal as we go into August 6th to August 10th. So we are expecting those next 10-day high temperature trends to be in the upper 90s. I think we might stay under 100 degrees for the next couple of days. We've been forecasting 100-degree temperatures for the past 2 days, but we haven't quite made it there, especially as this heat dome is sort of retreating back off towards the west. And so we're getting a little bit of a break from the heat dome. The only thing that we're going to have to keep track on is this little disturbance that's making its way in from the north that is going to really bring some possible showers and storms heading into tomorrow afternoon. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. 40% chance of showers and storms for Saturday afternoon. And then once that clears out, we're going to be mostly hot and sunny, at least for all of next week, with those high temperatures just sort of teasing that 100-degree temperature range. So I'm going to go ahead and show you our future track. This is going into our forecast here in the next 7 days. We are expecting this cold front, and I know I'm saying cold front, but of course this frontal system, let's call it that, because it's really not bringing us cooler temperatures, but it could bring us some possible showers and storms as we get closer towards 4:30, maybe even 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. And they're going to continue its track into southeast Texas. I think for the most part, as models are suggesting, that we're going to see more of the heavier storms well to the west of downtown Houston, but we cannot rule out a possible strong isolated storm to make its way into the city or closer towards Houston for tomorrow. So just be on the lookout for maybe a lone storm that could move through the area for tomorrow evening and afternoon. It's not going to be widespread rain. It's not going to really damper any outdoor plans, but you do have a window of storm activity that could take place between the hours of 4 and I believe that's going to be 8 p.m. for tomorrow as we head into the next 24 to 48 hours. And then after that, we're going to be mostly quiet. If you're heading anywhere across the state of Texas, it's probably a travel week. We're trying to soak in all the last remaining days of summer before school starts this later in August. I know we have school starting in the next couple of weeks, but if you're traveling across Texas, we're going to see those temps pretty hot and humid in the hundreds across Austin, 99 for Sunday, 101 for Monday, 98 for Dallas, even getting up to 96 for Monday. But we are still going to continue to see those sweltering hot and humid conditions for us here across Houston, at least for the next couple of days. And so again, just if you're just now joining me on our live stream, we are talking about the tropics. We have no activity happening in the Atlantic Basin for the next 7 days, and that's what we like to see. But we are looking at some storms that are moving through the Pacific Ocean. We have also across Asia, they're dealing with the typhoon that's out over open water. That's really not going to pose a threat to land out on the other side of the world, but that's pretty far away from us. But we are expecting those conditions to remain mostly quiet in the tropics, at least for the next 7 days. The only thing that we're keeping track of is the increasing storm chances for tomorrow afternoon. That could bring a bit of a cool down to some of us, but it's not going to be widespread rain. Some of us are going to be lucky for maybe a storm or two heading into the afternoon hours. So again, your 7-day forecast, highs in the 90s, lows in the 70s, mostly sunny skies expected for next week. And we are expecting it still remain sweltering, hot and humid. So if you are out and about, stay hydrated, look before you lock when it comes to car safety, and make sure to just practice those heat safety measures as we head into the next 7 days. Again, I'm meteorologist Christian Ramirez with your tropics and weather update. Have a good rest of your evening and make sure to tune in a little under an hour for the KHOU 11 news at 10 p.m.